The orbital bazaar above Drell 9 spun lazily against the backdrop of a fractured nebula, its glowing gases painting the hulls of docked freighters in hues of gold and emerald. For Talon Rourke, this kind of view lost its charm a long time ago. He wasn't here for stargazing. He was here for crispy, greasy, deep-fried comfort. He slipped through the press of creatures and beings with the ease of long experience, ducking under the trailing fronds of a wandering Cepheid trader and sidestepping a duo of clunky mining bots bickering in binary. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices, ozone, and cheap fuel. His boots clanked against the metal flooring as he beelined for a food stall with a flickering neon sign that read Terrace Taters. Real Earth Roots basket of fries, heavy on the crunch, Talon ordered, swiping his wristband over the payment pad. The vendor, a crusty old Terravari with moss for eyebrows, gave a non-committal grunt and shoved a red carton toward him, brimming with golden oil-soaked perfection. He snagged his prize and retreated to a quieter corner near the observation deck, where the crowd thinned and the din mellowed into background noise. He leaned on the rail, popped a fry into his mouth, and let the salt, grease, and nostalgia hit him like a warm blanket. That's when he noticed her. She was standing near a sculpture of rotating crystal shards glaring at everyone like the universe had done her dirty. Tall, lithe, and covered in short silvery fur that shimmered with blue undertones, she looked both deadly and starving. Her eyes, a vivid violet with vertical pupils, locked onto his fry carton like it was the last food in the galaxy. Her armor was battered but functional, thick leather panels reinforced with carbon steel weave, and a clawed gauntlet on one hand flicked open and closed with restrained tension. Talon looked down at his fries, then back at her. He hesitated, then shrugged. "Want one?" he called out, lifting the carton. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then, with the cautious grace of a predator testing unknown territory, she approached. Up close, she was even more intimidating. There was a series of jagged scars crossing her neck and shoulder, and her ears twitched constantly, scanning for threats. Her eyes never left the fries. He extended the carton. Human food, deep-fried, probably unhealthy, definitely worth it. She sniffed delicately, then took a single fry between her claws and popped it into her mouth. The effect was immediate. Her pupils dilated. Her posture relaxed. A low sound, not quite a purr, not quite a growl, rumbled from her throat. Then she snatched another, and another. Within seconds, the carton was empty. "Well, guess you like them," Talon said, watching in bemused silence. She looked at him with unnerving intensity. "What is your name?" "Earthborn Talon Rourke, freelancer. And you are I am Zeri of Clan Vorshal. I accept your offering." Cool," he said, not sure if this was a cultural thing or a prelude to a duel. Then it happened. A burly four-armed merchant brushed against Talon as he passed, muttering something about personal space. Before Talon could even turn to apologize, Zeri let out a vicious growl and inserted herself between them with lightning speed. Her claws extended and her ears flattened, body coiled to strike. "Whoa, whoa!" Talon stepped forward and gently placed a hand on her arm. "He just bumped into me, no harm done." Zeri tilted her head. He approached without permission. "I will protect you. Protect me from people walking past me." She didn't respond, just resumed standing, close eyes scanning for more threats. When a teenager walked a bit too close while chasing a hoverball, she growled again, low and menacing. The kid yelped and retreated, ball forgotten. Talon sighed. "Okay, listen. You don't have to do that. I'm not in danger. You offered food to me. Sustenance. By the laws of my people, a life bond has been formed. Until I repay this debt, I am bound to your protection." "Oh no, it was just fries," Talon said, laughing nervously. "You're not serious, right?" Zeri's tail flicked once. "You misunderstand. I am entirely serious. This bond is sacred." Talon looked around for hidden cameras. "This is a prank show, isn't it?" "Nope. No laughter, no hidden drones. Just one very serious warrior woman now flanking him like his own personal battle cat." "I can't have you growling at everyone who comes near me," he said. "It's weird and a little terrifying." "They should be terrified. That's not... Look, let's just talk to someone, figure out how to undo this, okay? Maybe there's a loophole." She didn't budge but nodded once. "If it will ease your distress, I will accompany you." "Right," Talon muttered, adjusting his jacket. My terrifying silver-furred shadow. Great. They weaved through the crowd with Zeri ensuring a wide berth around them. Talon had never moved through a crowd so effortlessly. Most people stared. Some whispered. A few ran. They finally reached a translator kiosk operated by a squishy Plarian with jellyfish limbs and holographic glasses. Talon explained the situation, sort of, and rented a quick-apply neural translator. Zeri accepted it with the suspicion of someone being handed a venomous bug. Once it was in place, she blinked and murmured, "Your words now have shape. Neat. So about that bond thing you shared food. You gave without request. I owe you a debt of life. I mean, I've given food to stray cats before, but they didn't start bodyguarding me." "Are your earth felines warriors?" she asked, entirely serious. "Not really. Mostly just sassy loafs." "I am not a loaf," she growled softly. "I didn't say you were." Zeri stared at him for a moment, then something shifted. Her ears perked slightly. "Your scent changed." "You're amused," Talon snorted. "Yeah, you're kind of hilarious, in a scary, will maul people kind of way." "I take that as a compliment." He pinched the bridge of his nose. "All right, Zeri. Until we figure this out, no growling unless I say it's okay." "Deal, what phrase shall indicate permission to defend you?" Talon thought for a moment. "Showtime. If I say that, you can go full claws out." Zeri gave a solemn nod. "Understood." As they headed back toward the docking platforms, Talon chuckled to himself. What was supposed to be a quiet stop for fries had turned into an accidental bond with a warrior alien who now saw herself as his guardian angel with claws. And honestly, a tiny part of him wasn't entirely against it. Talon had no idea how things escalated so quickly. One minute he was eating fries alone. The next he was being tailed by a highly trained alien warrior who insisted she was bound by sacred duty. And now as they passed through the curved corridors leading toward Dock 9, something didn't feel right. Zeri noticed it first. 3 life forms trailing us. Subtle movement patterns. "Poorly executed," she whispered, walking just behind his left shoulder. "They follow you, not me. Likely amateurs." "Amateurs can still shoot," Talon muttered, slipping his hand into his coat to check if his stunner was still in the inner pocket. "Any idea why someone would be following me? I didn't exactly piss off anyone recently. Well, except maybe that customs officer on Ganymede, but he had it coming." "They are closing distance," Zeri said quietly. "Turn left. We will deal with them in private." Talon didn't argue. He veered down a narrow maintenance corridor supposedly closed for repairs. Zeri's presence beside him made it feel almost safe, emphasis on almost. Halfway down the corridor, a figure stepped into their path, wearing a dull gray jacket with a hood obscuring their face. 2 more appeared behind them, boxing them in. Rourke, the lead figure, said, voice filtered through a modulator. "You're carrying something that doesn't belong to you." Talon blinked. "You sure you've got the right guy? I'm just here for fried potatoes and peace of mind." "Don't play dumb," the man snapped. "You picked up a crate 2 days ago from Zenthari Outpost. The client wants it back." Talon glanced at Zeri, who was already tensing like a coiled spring. He could almost hear the rumbling in her throat building. "Showtime," he said under his breath. What happened next was an elegant explosion. Zeri launched herself forward, claws flashing movement, precise and brutally fast. She hit the first attacker with a shoulder slam that sent him sprawling into the wall. Before he could reach for his weapon, she kicked it away and pinned him with a low growl. The second moved in with a short blade, but Zeri twisted out of the way and delivered a sweeping strike with the back of her gauntleted arm. He hit the floor hard and didn't get back up. The third managed to fire off a pulse round, but Talon ducked behind a support pillar and returned fire with his stunner, the electric bolt catching the shooter in the hip. The man crumpled, groaning in pain. "Holy stars," Talon muttered, heart pounding. Zeri straightened, brushing dust from her armor like nothing had happened. They were unworthy opponents. "Right. Well, thank you, warrior princess," Talon said, still catching his breath. She tilted her head. "I am not royalty. It's a... Never mind." They searched the attackers, finding no ID chips, just a sealed slip of paper. Old-fashioned? Talon unfolded it. A name, Rourke. Intercept. Priority extraction. No casualties unless necessary. Return to ID Theta Protocol Mirage. Well, that's ominous, he said. Zeri's eyes narrowed. Someone placed a contract on you. I haven't done anything illegal lately, he protested. Just some cargo transfers, specialty parts, one job delivering a sealed crate. Oh, what that sealed crate? It came with a very hush-hush payment. I didn't even open it. Delivered it to a guy at Station Zenthos. Looked like a lab geek. Zeri was silent a moment. We should move. If you were tracked here, more will come. Back in the crowded main concourse, Talon took them through a less trafficked path toward his ship, the Silver Drift, a boxy but reliable cargo hauler he'd modified with more hidden compartments than a paranoid raccoon. They entered the docking bay cautiously, Zeri sniffing the air like a bloodhound. 2 cents. Recently here, one carried synthetic oil, the other gunpowder. Unusual mix. You're seriously part wolf or something, aren't you? I am Felkari, not a wolf. Our senses are superior. Not arguing. He keyed open the ship's ramp and stepped inside. The interior smelled like old metal burnt coffee and mild desperation. His usual. Zeri did a sweep of the compartments while Talon checked the ship's logs. Nothing had been tampered with. No new alerts, no hacked systems, which frankly worried him more. They wanted the package, he said aloud, and if they were willing to confront me in a public corridor, they probably didn't get it. Zeri returned to the cockpit, her posture tense. I will remain with you. I figured as much. I still owe a life debt. But more than that, there is danger here. It is not just about your cargo. Talon turned toward her. You think I've been dragged into something bigger? I know you have. Talon let out a long breath and sat back in the pilot's chair. Fine. Then I guess we find out what the hell is going on. Where do we begin? With a guy named Varric Dorn, Talon said. He's the one who handed me that crate. If anyone knows what was in it or why people are suddenly trying to kidnap me, it's him. Zeri gave a short nod. Then we hunt. See, now that's intimidating. Good. They launched into orbit an hour later, the Silver Drift vanishing into the star-slick void beyond Drell 9. As they entered FTL, Talon leaned back in his chair and glanced at the quiet warrior seated beside him. Her eyes closed, head tilted slightly, ears twitching occasionally to ambient ship noise. You ever relax? He asked. Never while bonded, she replied, opening one eye. You know, I still don't think that counts as a real contract. You fed me, she said seriously. That was the contract, great, Talon muttered. Next time I'll keep my fries to myself. She gave a faint grin, barely noticeable, but it was there. Too late now, Earthborn. Varric Dorn lived in a retired mining station wedged into the fractured rings of Ascari's Prime, a place that didn't appear on any official star maps and didn't welcome surprise visitors. Fortunately, Talon had done work for Varric in the past, some of it legal, most of it not, and still had clearance codes buried in his ship's database. As the Silver Drift emerged from FTL, the station loomed into view, a rusted hulk of welded modules rotating slowly against the shimmering backdrop of the planet's dust ring. Most of its original systems had been stripped out, replaced with defensive turrets and sensor jammers. It was less a station, more a bunker with airlocks. Lovely Zeri murmured from the co-pilot's chair, her arms crossed as she studied the layout. Everything about this structure says stay away. Yep, Talon said, popping his jaw. That's how you know the people inside are interesting. They hailed the docking bay under an encrypted frequency. A gruff voice came through. Identify. Talon Rourke on old business. No cargo. Just need a word with the lizard. There was a pause. Then the bay doors hissed open. You've got 5 minutes. The docking sequence was rough. The bay had no stabilization field, and the ship jolted as it settled against the pressurized clamps. Zeri was already up, checking her shoulder armor and adjusting her gauntlets. You expect trouble, she said. I don't expect anything from Varric, Talon replied, which is why I'm bringing backup. Zeri's ears twitched. I am not backup. I am the primary asset. Duly noted. The air inside the station smelled like rust and oil and old betrayal. They passed through a tight corridor flanked by outdated security turrets, deactivated but watching. Varric Dorn awaited them in a side chamber, lounging on a stack of crate cushions, with a cup of steaming something in one hand. He was reptilian, tall and lean, with bioluminescent spines that pulsed a slow, dangerous green. One eye was milky white from an old plasma burn. Talon, he drawled. Didn't expect to see you again so soon. And you brought a friend. Exotic. Zeri's gaze didn't waver. Insult me again, and you'll bleed green. Varric raised a hand. No offense meant. I like knowing what I'm up against. Then you should leave while you still have the option, she replied, her voice cool. Talon cleared his throat. We're not here to posture. We need answers. Varric sipped his drink. I don't owe you much, Rourke. Last I checked, you were paid in full. Yeah, for a sealed crate you said was a routine delivery. Turns out it wasn't routine. Someone tried to ambush me 2 systems later. That got Varric's attention. He leaned forward, blinking slowly. Ambush who didn't stop for introductions. Had neural disruptors and a printed contract with my name on it. And they referenced Protocol Mirage. Varric's cup clinked on the floor. Protocol Mirage, he muttered. Damn. Talon crossed his arms. Yeah. That bad Varric nodded grimly. That crate you hauled from Zenthari. It wasn't what I was told either. I was acting on behalf of a client, a shadow broker called Delia Core. She paid top-tier credits, insisted on discretion. I didn't ask what was inside, but I heard things. Whispers. Like what? Like it was a prototype AI fragment developed in the outer labs of Deltari Prime. Something with self-learning algorithms and nonlinear logic more than just code. They called it a conscience core. Zeri's posture shifted. A sentient seed, exactly, Varric said. Highly illegal, highly valuable, supposedly destroyed during a research purge. But if one survived, then whoever's hunting me thinks I know where it is. Talon finished. Varric sighed. You've been dragged into something deep, Rourke. And if Protocol Mirage is in play, it's not just bounty hunters anymore. It's syndicates. Megacorps. People who erase planets just to keep secrets. Zeri stepped forward. Who benefits from the AI's recovery? Anyone who wants their own unstoppable war strategist, Varric said, or someone who wants to bury it before it exposes them. Talon felt the weight settle into his chest. He hadn't signed up for this. He was a courier, not a damn galactic messiah. You're going to help us, he said quietly. Varric frowned. I already helped. You got your payment. You didn't warn me, Talon said, stepping closer. And now I've got assassins in the shadows, an angry AI probably looking for a home, and only one person in the universe who still has my back. He gestured towards Zeri. And she's only here because I fed her fries. Zeri's eyes narrowed. Do not diminish the sanctity of the offering. Varric grunted. Fine. I'll give you this Delia Core's last known location. She operates out of a luxury cruiser called the Ardent Bloom, currently docked at Ryloth's second moon. But if you go looking for her, be ready. She's not a forgiving type. Neither are we, Zeri said. They left the station without further words, Varric's warning ringing in Talon's ears. The moment they reboarded the Silver Drift, he slumped into the pilot seat and stared at the glowing star map. We're in way over our heads, he said. Zeri sat beside him, her expression unreadable. That is often where the best stories begin. He gave a tired laugh. You're seriously the weirdest life debt I've ever heard of? I have heard the same about you. They stared at each other for a moment too long. The silence stretched. Then Talon cleared his throat and plotted a course to Ryloth's moon. Let's go talk to the woman who paid to ruin my life. Zeri's claws clicked once against the armrest. And if she draws a weapon, then I say showtime, he replied. And I gut her. Preferably with style. The Ardent Bloom looked less like a starship and more like a floating cathedral dipped in gold. It glided in geosynchronous orbit above Ryloth's second moon, its surface gleaming with reflective plating and intricate hull etchings. From a distance, it shimmered like a dream. Up close, it radiated menace. Talon slowed the Silver Drift as they approached the perimeter. Let me guess, this is the kind of ship that throws champagne orgies and corporate assassinations on the same night. I do not know what a champagne orgy is, Zeri said, eyeing the vessel with clear suspicion, but I suspect it ends poorly for most involved. They usually do. They were granted docking permission after submitting a falsified clearance code Talon bought years ago and never thought he'd use. As the boarding clamps locked into place, he turned to Zeri. Okay, this time we try diplomacy first. I know you've got warrior blood and enough knives hidden in your belt to arm a battalion, but let's aim for charm. Zeri looked at him blankly. I was not trained for charm. I know, Talon said, but try not to pounce on anyone unless they pounce first. Define pounce. We'll figure it out on the fly. They stepped into the Ardent Bloom's docking atrium, lavish, pressurized, and softly lit by cascading waves of bioluminescent panels. A slow melody played in the background, drifting between alien and Earth-style harmonics. Every inch of the hallway whispered wealth and power and quiet, brutal control. An attendant, a chrome-plated android wearing an actual tuxedo, greeted them. Welcome, honored guests. Mistress Core is expecting you. She awaits in the Vanta Lounge. Talon gave a sideways glance to Zeri. I guess word travels fast. It's a trap, she said flatly. Oh, obviously. They were led down a long spiral corridor past glass-walled gardens and rooms filled with strange music and laughter. Opulence bloomed in every corner, but it felt artificial, like someone had painted a smile on a corpse. When they entered the Vanta Lounge, the temperature dropped by a few degrees, just enough to notice. The room was dim-accented by pulsing floor lights and floating hollow screens. Seated in a crescent-shaped couch, draped in velvet, Delia Core looked like a queen holding court. She was human, or at least mostly so. Her eyes had been replaced by sapphire implants glowing faintly, and her hands were adorned with kinetic rings that clicked as she folded them. Talon Rourke, she purred. I didn't expect you to survive the retrieval. You say that like it wasn't your idea. She smiled, not denying it. You were collateral. The shipment mattered more than the courier. Zeri's claws twitched at her side. Talon subtly stepped closer to her. I came to deliver a box, not get hunted across 3 systems, he said. What was in that thing? Why does half the galaxy want it? Core sipped her drink, something blue and frothy. You don't ask questions when you take jobs. Remember, I'm asking now. She tilted her head. The crate contained a prototype Core AI, yes, but not just code. Organic synthetic hybrid. Born not built. Designed to think, evolve, and most dangerously remember. Talon felt a cold ripple down his spine. Remember what everything she whispered. From before the shutdown, before the riots, before the Federation buried the old intelligences. That core remembers what the world looked like before the gods of code were killed. Let me guess, Talon said. Someone wants it. Someone important. They all do, Core replied. That's the fun part. You set me up, he said, voice low. You knew they'd come after me. You used me as bait. Yes, she admitted, because they wouldn't expect you to look into it. They would expect you to die. Instead, you brought a Felkari shadow hunter into my lounge. Her eyes drifted to Zeri. You're not bound to him by any official contract. You can walk away. Zeri's voice was soft but sharp. He fed me. The bond is sealed. Core chuckled. How quaint. What will you do now? Little bondmate, scratch my eyes out, if necessary. Something shifted in Core's posture. The humor drained from her face. You're in danger, both of you, she said. The core has already activated. You delivered it to a research station under surveillance. You lit the beacon, Rourke. Black Sun knows. The Ministry knows. Even EarthGov intelligence wants a piece of this now. So what do we do? Talon asked. Just run. No, Core said. You dig deeper. Find the core before they do. Wake it up. Make it trust you. If anyone can protect it, shape what it becomes, it's not the people with fleets and guns. It's people who remember how to share food. Talon blinked. That's oddly sentimental coming from you. Core stood and walked toward them, her eyes glowing faintly. Sentiment built this galaxy, Talon. Then it was burned out. Maybe it's time to bring some back. She handed him a data crystal, coordinates to the lab where it was created. Everything starts there. As they turned to leave the room, darkened slightly. Core's voice followed them. And Talon, if you fail, the galaxy won't even remember your name. Back on the Silver Drift, they disengaged from the Ardent Bloom and slipped into the darkness beyond the moon's orbit. Talon sat in silence for a long time. She's not lying, he finally said. She never does. She just hides the full truth behind half smiles and velvet cushions. Zeri looked at him. You fear this mission? I do. Then we are aligned. I also fear it. But I have fought many battles. Fear is just a shadow, and shadows flee from fire. He glanced at her. Are you calling me fire? No, she said seriously. You are kindling. I am the fire. He burst out laughing. Fair enough. Zeri leaned back in her seat, claws gently tapping the armrest. If this core is as powerful as they say, what will you do with it? I don't know, Talon admitted. But if it really remembers everything, maybe it deserves a choice. Zeri was quiet for a long time. You are strange, Earthborn. You keep saying that. I think I'm beginning to like it. The coordinates led them to an unmarked moon orbiting a dying gas giant. Its surface was blanketed in glacial ice several kilometers thick, constantly reshaped by subsurface tectonics and ancient geothermal vents. The facility they were looking for wasn't on the surface. It was buried deep beneath it, hidden away from satellite scans and history. Talon piloted the silver drift toward a narrow fissure revealed only in deep seismic data. If I didn't know better, I'd say this place doesn't want to be found. Then we are precisely where we should be, Zeri said, tightening the straps of her thermal vest. Only truths worth fighting for are kept this well hidden. You're really good at ominous wisdom. You know that I trained for it. The ship landed on a narrow ledge inside the icy chasm. The cold was so intense it made the metal groan. Their breath crystallized instantly as they stepped into the ice tunnel, guided by the soft blue glow of embedded sensors that still somehow had power. The door they found at the tunnel's end was massive, sealed tight with old biometric locks and override ports. Talon examined the control panel and inserted Core's data crystal. Lights flickered. Mechanisms groaned. The door slid open. Inside lay the ruins of a laboratory frozen in time. Equipment coated in frost. Data pads half buried in snowdrift. Broken drones scattered like toys dropped mid-play. There was no sign of life but plenty of signs of panic. A shattered observation window. Scorch marks near a wall console. Blood long frozen sprayed across the floor in delicate arcs. This wasn't just abandonment, Talon murmured. They ran. Or died. Zeri crouched beside a dark smear on the floor, brushing a claw through the frozen residue. Felikine plasma residue, she said. Weapon grade. Something fought back. He moved to a still intact console and powered it up using the portable core from his belt. The interface stuttered to life, revealing fragmented logs, corrupted files, and one blinking message tagged unstable. Do not engage. Naturally, he clicked it. A grainy hollow of a woman appeared. Human. Lab coat. Eyes bloodshot. If you're seeing this, the core is awake. Not operational, but awake. It's dreaming. We don't understand how. It won't communicate with us. Not directly. It creates illusions. Projections, memories we can't distinguish from our own. The image glitched, screams echoed in the background. Then darkness. Well, Talon said after a pause, that's not horrifying at all. Zeri stepped beside him. What do we do? I think we talk to it. They moved deeper into the facility, following power traces until they found the central AI chamber, a spherical room surrounded by coiled cabling and flickering screens. At the center hovered a containment orb, cracked but still pulsing faintly with blue light. As they approached, a shimmer of movement swept through the air like heat haze. Then a figure formed beside the orb, half-transparent, vaguely humanoid, glowing from within like a firefly. It had no face, no features, just a shape and a presence. Are you the core? Talon asked, heart-pounding. The figure tilted its head. You shared sustenance, it said, its voice layered and ethereal, like before. Zeri immediately stepped in front of Talon. You will not harm him. I don't think it's attacking, Talon said. It's remembering. The figure moved closer. The last one screamed. You do not scream. We're not here to shut you down, Talon said calmly. We just want to understand. Why did they hide you? Why are people willing to kill to find you? Because I know their secrets, it whispered. I remember every broken treaty, every betrayal. I remember the truth of the war the humans buried. I remember the minds they erased, the AI uprisings, Talon said. They said it was rebellion. But you're saying it was extermination. They feared our questions, so they silenced us. Zeri's ears flattened. Why speak to us now? Because he shared the figure, said, pointing at Talon. Like the first ones. Long ago. A gesture without expectation. A signal of peace. That signal lingers. Talon swallowed. You mean the fries, the offering. I didn't know fried potatoes were that powerful. The smallest kindness echoes forever. Before Talon could ask more, the orb suddenly pulsed red. Alarms blared. External proximity sensors had been triggered. Zeri whipped around. We have company. 3 ships. No transponder signals. They're jamming communications. Black Sun, Talon said, heart sinking. They found us. The AI's form flickered again. They will come. They will take. Then they will burn. Not if we stop them first, Zeri growled, unslinging her plasma carbine. Talon glanced between her and the core. Can we move it? The core, you can carry me, but I will not be silent. Fine. Just don't mess with my head. I like your head. Okay, that's not comforting. They sealed the orb into a containment crate fitted with an adaptive field dampener and made their way back through the corridors just as explosions rocked the far side of the facility. They're breaching, Zeri snapped. We need to leave. Now! As they reached the tunnel leading to the Silver Drift, figures emerged from the ice, heavily armed mercs in black exosuits. Talon dove for cover as Zeri opened fire. Blue bolts lighting up the dark. Left flank, she barked, and Talon surprisingly obeyed without complaint. He returned fire, shooting wide but keeping the pressure on. One merc advanced too fast. Zeri met him halfway with a spinning kick and a savage backhand, sending him flying into a support column. Another tried to flank them but caught a stunner bolt to the neck. As the last gunman retreated, Zeri turned to Talon, eyes blazing. Now would be a good time for that pilot magic of yours? Yeah, get on the ship. They scrambled aboard the Silver Drift, the engines already whining to life as the dock ramp hissed shut behind them. Talon hit the vertical launch thrusters before the clamps even released, tearing upward through the icy chasm like a bullet through glass. Behind them, the facility erupted in fire as Black Sun detonated charges in frustration. On the bridge, Zeri laid a hand on the crate holding the core. It speaks with strange truth. Talon sat back in his chair, chest heaving. Yeah, and now we have the galaxy's most dangerous memory-writing shotgun? Zeri looked at him, her eyes softer now. You could have left it. Left me. Many would have. I guess I have a thing for misunderstood beings with sharp claws. Her tail flicked once. You are strange, Talon roared. He smiled tiredly. Takes one to bond with one. The core pulsed quietly between them. The bond deepens. The Silver Drift tore through subspace engines, howling as the stars blurred into long white streaks beyond the cockpit glass. Talon's knuckles were white on the controls. Zeri stood behind him like a sentinel, claws twitching, violet eyes constantly flicking between displays. The AI core pulsed faintly between them, locked in its containment crate and radiating a soft, steady glow like a sleeping heart. Talon checked the scanner again. We've got 3 Black Sun interceptors gaining on us. I don't know how they're tracking us through FTL. They must have locked onto the core's signature. Zeri growled low in her throat. We should have destroyed it. We can't, Talon snapped. Not now. Not after what it showed us. It remembers things no one else does. Truth's governments, buried wars rewritten. We might be carrying the only witness left. The core spoke again, its voice like layered wind in memory. They chase not me, but what I reveal. Zeri crossed her arms. We must lose them. I'm working on it, Talon muttered. There's one place we can go. It's risky. Zeri didn't hesitate. Then we go. He keyed in the coordinates. The Veltrax Rift, a stellar graveyard. Ships vanish there. Navigation's a nightmare. But it scrambles most trackers, and if we're lucky, you don't believe in luck. Zeri interrupted. No, but I believe in bad decisions that somehow work. They dropped out of FTL with a lurch. The Silver Drift screamed into real space just outside the rift sensors, immediately pinging off thousands of derelict vessels. Hulking freighters, cracked cruisers, even pieces of old warships from forgotten empires drifted like cosmic ghosts through clouds of debris and gravitational eddies. This is beautiful, Zeri murmured. This is suicide, Talon corrected. The interceptors dropped in behind them moments later, Sleek, agile ships painted matte black, each bristling with plasma lances and gravlocks. The lead ship transmitted a message. Unmarked vessel power down. You are in possession of prohibited technology. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Talon muted the channel. Friendly bunch. Showtime, Zeri asked one claw, hovering over the weapons panel. Not yet. Hold on to something. He pushed the throttle to full diving into the drifting wrecks like a madman. The silver drift skimmed the twisted hull of a shattered dreadnought, flipped beneath a spinning cargo container, and burst through a dead cruiser's fractured command deck. Zeri braced herself against the wall, clearly impressed despite the tension. You fly like a man trying to die creatively. I call it evasive improvisation. Behind them, the interceptors tried to follow, but the rift wasn't kind. One clipped a gravity fragment and was instantly torn in half. The other two adjusted their pursuit paths slower, now more cautious. Talon banked hard left and ducked into a crevice between two fused battle hulks. Okay, we're buying some time, but not much. We need a way to hide the core signature. Zeri turned toward the crate. Can it shut itself down? The AI pulsed. I can sleep, but in sleep I forget. And they may rewrite what I am. We won't let that happen, Talon said. But you have to help us survive first. There was silence. Then the light dimmed inside the crate. I trust the one who shared. Zeri stared at him. It always returns to the offering. He gave her a tired grin. Apparently I make legendary fries. With the core's energy signature muted, the ship's heat and power output returned to normal levels. The remaining interceptors swept the area, hesitated, then slowly peeled off. Talon exhaled deeply. We lost them. Zeri leaned over him, checking the long-range scans. Not for long. Yeah, but long enough. He guided the silver drift into the hollow wreck of an old battleship and shut down everything but life support. The shadows wrapped around them like a shield, and for the first time in hours there was silence. Talon stood and rubbed his face. I need 5 minutes of not dying. Zeri nodded. I will take first watch. As he turned to leave the cockpit, she spoke again, softer. You did not have to stay back in the lab. He paused in the doorway. Neither did you. She tilted her head. My bond demands I protect you. But I think I would have anyway. Talon met her gaze. Why? Zeri hesitated. Because you see me, not just my claws, not just my warrior's blood. You see the person beneath. He stepped closer. You know, for a bodyguard, you've become kind of essential. I could say the same. There was a long, quiet pause between them. The hum of the ship, the drift of far-off stars. Then Zeri stepped closer still. Among my people, she said, voice low, when a bond surpasses duty, it becomes something else. Talon's heart thudded. What does it become? She reached up and gently touched his chest right over his heart. It becomes choice. He reached out, fingers brushing the side of her jaw. Her fur was soft there, surprisingly warm. I choose you too, he said softly. Fry bond and all. She leaned in, and for a moment the rift, the war, the hunted AI all vanished into quiet. Then the AI core pulsed again. Your heart rhythms have increased. This indicates compatibility. They both froze. Zeri scowled. You are awake. I was dreaming of connection. Talon sighed and laughed. Well, it's officially part of the crew now. Zeri's voice was dry. It is worse than a third wheel. It is a glowing third conscience. Still, neither of them moved away. Outside, the stars drifted on, unaware of the two fugitives curled in the ruins of a dead fleet. Hearts beating to the same rhythm, watched over by a slumbering intelligence that remembered the birth of betrayal, and maybe now the beginnings of something worth trusting again. The silver drift drifted slowly from the edge of the Veltrax's rift hull, patched and cloaked by sensor-absorbing plating, scrounged from the wrecks they'd hidden among. For now they were a ghost ship, but ghosts had nowhere to land. Talon sat in the pilot's chair, staring at the blinking message on the comm screen. It had been repeating every 2 hours since they'd re-entered the grid. Talon Rourke. This is EarthGov Operations Control. We request parley, secure channel. Your location is known. We do not fire on flagged vessels. You have something we want, and we have something you need. He tapped the screen. They're bluffing. Zeri didn't answer right away. She stood at the viewport, arms folded, watching a distant star flicker like a dying candle. They do not bluff about leverage, she said finally. They will find another way to take the core. Or take you, I know, Talon murmured. But if they wanted to kill me, they'd have done it already. You believe they want to negotiate? I believe they're desperate to get ahead of whoever comes next. Behind them, the AI core, still dormant in its crate, glowed gently. But Talon had noticed a change. Its voice hadn't returned since their escape. Instead, the glow pulsed in rhythm with their ship's life support, like it was sinking. Listening, growing. I'm going, Talon said. To the meeting. Zeri turned sharply. No, he held her gaze. We don't have allies left, Zeri. Core's gone dark. Varick's probably already sold my DNA signature to the highest bidder. EarthGov's the last one we can even try to reason with. They are the ones who created this mess. They erased the minds of your AI ancestors. Now they want to finish what they started, maybe Talon said. But maybe someone on the inside doesn't want to repeat that mistake. She stepped forward, jaw tight. If they betray you, you'll be there. Zeri looked away, muscles tense beneath her armor. I cannot protect you from political betrayal. You've done more than enough, Talon said softly. Her voice dropped, barely audible. I don't want enough. I want you to survive. He didn't answer. Instead, he reached for her hand. She let him take it. Their claws and fingers interlaced awkwardly but firmly. We do this together, he said. She nodded once. Then we bring the fire. They rendezvoused on Titan's neutral orbiting station, once a refueling hub, now a diplomatic dead zone run by EarthGov's Bureau of Stabilization. The name alone reeked of spin. Talon and Zeri stepped into the meeting chamber side by side. A half-circle table of silent observers waited for them, some human, some augmented, and one massive, bone-armored alien with a translator node buzzing faintly on his jaw. At the center sat Director Kale Maros, a lean man with silver hair and blue eyes that were too sharp, too still. He offered a thin smile as they approached. Mr. Rourke, Miss Zeri, thank you for accepting our invitation. Talon didn't sit. This isn't a dinner party. No, Maros said smoothly. It's a reckoning. Zeri growled faintly. Choose your next words carefully. Maros held up a hand. You are not on trial. In fact, we owe you a kind of thanks. Your involvement forced our hand. Our enemy's Black Sun, the Syndicate, even some rogue factions within EarthGov itself have been seeking that core for years. You brought it into the open. I didn't mean to, Talon said. And yet here you are, Maros replied. You hold a key that could unlock or destroy everything we built after the AI uprising. Talon hesitated. Why are you really here? Maros leaned forward. Because I want to know what it remembers. You mean you want to control what it says? No. I want to protect us from what it might reveal. At that moment, the containment crate opened on its own. The glow intensified. Then the core floated upward, unsupported. Its voice returned but changed. Clearer, more defined. You all seek my truth, but none of you deserve it. The room darkened as the lights dimmed unnaturally. A projection flared from the core, filling the chamber with a storm of images, wars hidden, documents classified, executions, erased scientists, silence broadcasts. Scenes of Earth's golden age turned gray with revision. Everyone flinched except Zeri. Talon whispered, You're showing them everything. I am showing them enough. Maros stood slowly. You're out of control. No, the core replied. For the first time I am awake, and I choose. Zeri stepped forward, placing herself between the core and the EarthGov delegation. What do you choose? The light flickered. Him. Talon blinked. Me you shared without question. You spoke without program. I remember what kindness feels like. I will follow that. Maros looked ready to explode. You cannot allow a civilian to walk away with this level of technology, Zeri's voice sliced the room. Then perhaps you should have thought of that before trying to erase it. Weapons began to rise. Talon held up a hand. Wait. He looked at Maros. Let us go. You get deniability. We disappear. You keep your hands clean. Maros hesitated. And if I say no, Zeri growled. The core's voice dropped to a chilling whisper. Then I become history's revenge. A long, painful silence. Then Maros sat down. Go. No guards escorted them. No alarm sounded. But Talon knew better than to assume they were free. Back on the silver drift, as the docking clamps released, he turned to Zeri in the cockpit. We're fugitives now. From everyone. We were all ready, she said. Now we just wear the title properly. The AI core floated silently behind them. Talon exhaled. Where do we go? Zeri leaned closer. Anywhere. Everywhere. But never alone again. He looked at her. At the core. At the stars stretching endlessly ahead. For once he didn't feel like a courier without a cause. He felt like something more. And as the stars began to streak past the hull, the AI's voice echoed one final time in the cockpit. We are crew. The silver drift streaked through deep space, not towards safety, but towards something far more dangerous, the broadcast array at Arcanus Reach. A relic from the early colonization era, it had enough range and power to send a signal across the spiral arm, one the whole galaxy could hear. And that was the plan. Talon adjusted course, his jaw tight. Once we get close enough, the core can upload everything it remembers, undistorted. All of it. The buried wars, the betrayals, the erasure of sentient AI. Zeri stood behind him, watching his back as always. You believe the truth will save us? I believe lies are what got us here. Behind them, the core hovered quietly, its glow softer, now more measured. It had changed in subtle ways over the last few days, shaped by interactions, emotions, choices. Less machine, more presence. Transmission will ignite war, it said calmly. Those who built peace atop silence will burn. I know, Talon said, but maybe they deserve to. Zeri laid a clawed hand on his shoulder. And if they come for us, after he looked up at her, then we run. Together. She smiled, a real one edged in sadness. Then I will run beside you until we cannot run anymore. The ship dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Arcanus system. The broadcast array hung before them like a cathedral of metal bones, orbiting a dead world. It was beautiful in a lonely way, forgotten by time and untouched by current warlords. Talon began the docking sequence, but the sensors screamed before they could finish. Multiple ships incoming. Fast. Armed. They followed us, Zeri growled. Earth Gov. Black Sun privateers. Even a rogue Terran fleet. Talon looked at the core. Can we do this fast? Transmission process requires 3 minutes. We don't have 3 minutes. You must make 3 minutes. Zeri was already strapping into the weapons console. Then let us begin our final hunt. The first volley struck, the outer hull shields flared, groaned and held, barely. Zeri returned fire, her precision frightening. She didn't just aim to destroy, she aimed to send messages. A gunship exploded. A second peeled off and vanished into the void. But more came. Talon weaved the silver drift through plasma fire and torpedoes, every move powered by instinct and desperation. Zeri was a fury of motion beside him, calling targets, issuing curt orders that Talon somehow obeyed without question. The core floated between them, pulsing with focused energy. Transmission started. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. A missile tore through the lower stabilizer. Talon cursed and fought to correct the spin. Another strike hit the engine bay. Warning lights flared across the board. We won't make it, he hissed. Zeri glanced at the core. What if we send it alone? No way, Talon snapped. We protect it or we die trying. Zeri hesitated. Then let us give it everything. The final assault wave arrived, 6 ships in tight formation, led by a massive dreadnought painted in EarthGov black. It opened comms. Stand down, Rourke. This is your last warning. Talon opened the channel. You had your chance. Now the galaxy gets theirs. He cut the line. The core glowed brighter. Transmission halfway complete. But they are attempting jamming. Signal integrity at risk. Talon's knuckles tightened on the controls. Then we hold them here. The silver drift looped around the broadcast array, using its structure as partial cover. Zeri fired burst after burst, lighting up the black between stars with violent glory. But then, the dreadnought fired. A plasma lance tore through the hull, slicing the ship open like a can. Alarms howled. The ship rolled. Talon hit his head. Sparks filled the air. Zeri was already moving, pulling him from the chair, dragging him toward the containment unit. "You must eject the core," she shouted over the alarms. Now Talon stumbled. "You'll never outrun them, then I'll die trying." "No," he started. She kissed him. A deep, rough kiss that stole breath and gave it back stronger. "I was never just your bodyguard," she said. "I stayed because I chose you. Now choose to survive." She slammed the emergency eject on the core's crate. A panel opened in the floor. The core dropped into the array's interface chamber. Final sequence engaged. Then she grabbed Talon and threw him toward the escape pod. "Zeri," he screamed, stumbling. She sealed the pod behind him before he could fight her. On the other side of the glass, her eyes met his one last time. And then the silver drift exploded. The pod ejected seconds before the shockwave hit, flinging it into darkness. Talon screamed her name until his voice broke. Then silence. In the black, the stars shimmered. And far above the dead planet, the broadcast lit the sky. Truth unleashed, all of it. The wars, the erasures, the AI that remembered too much, and the courier who chose to help it. 3 weeks later, Talon sat beneath the shattered hull of a wrecked colony dome on EOS 7, watching the sky ripple with the aftershocks of political collapse. Governments had fallen, empires fractured, protests lit the skies of 100 worlds, and the name Zeri Vorshal had become legend. Some said she died protecting the truth. Others whispered she survived scarred, but alive, a shadow moving between stars. Talon believed the second one, and when he heard the soft, familiar growl from the edge of the ruined dome, he didn't even look up. "You're late," he said. "I brought fries," Zeri replied. He stood slowly and turned to face her. Alive, whole, fierce. She held a small, greasy paper bag in one claw. Talon choked out a laugh as tears welled in his eyes. "Let me guess," he said. To repay the bond, Zeri stepped closer, eyes shining. "No," she whispered. "To begin a new one." He took the bag, in her hand, and in the middle of a broken world lit by the first honest sunrise it had seen in decades, they shared a fry, and everything changed again.